Imagine a charismatic young man, Tyler Thompson, criminology student full of dreams and ambitions, on a random night. After a party at the university, he is about to leave when he sees Emma Carter, a lonely girl with a sad and distant look, standing on the sidewalk. Without thinking twice, he approaches and offers her a ride. Emma accepts, but as the night progresses, Tyler realizes that there is something more behind that melancholic look. A secret so dark that it can change everything. Suddenly, what began as a simple act of kindness drags him into a dangerous world, full of murder, corruption, and an internal struggle he never expected to face. What is Emma hiding, and how will Tyler deal with the revelations that are about to turn his life upside down? The college party pulsed with the rhythm of music and laughter, a chaotic blend of youthful exuberance and carefree revelry. Tyler Thompson stood amidst his friends, his charismatic presence lighting up the room as he bantered and joked. Yet beneath the surface of his laughter, a subtle discontent gnawed at him. He had always been the life of the party, but tonight something felt off. The atmosphere, though vibrant, seemed to lack the connection he desperately sought. Stepping outside for a breath of fresh air, Tyler found himself enveloped in the cool night, the sounds of the party fading into the background. He leaned against the wall, his mind wandering to thoughts of his future as a criminology student. For all his studies and aspirations, he felt an emptiness that no amount of socializing could fill. It was in this moment of reflection that he noticed her. Emma Carter, a solitary figure perched in a shadowy corner, her expression distant and contemplative. Tyler's curiosity piqued. He had seen her around campus, a quiet presence that seemed to drift by unnoticed. With a determined stride, he approached her. "Hey there," he said, flashing a warm smile. "Mind if I join you?" Emma looked up, surprise flickering across her features. Sure," she replied hesitantly, her voice barely rising above a whisper. "Tyler," he introduced himself, extending a hand which she shook gently. "Emma," she replied, her gaze darting away, as if she were uncertain about engaging. Tyler sensed her hesitance, but also a flicker of curiosity in her eyes, which encouraged him. "What brings you to the party?" he asked, hoping to draw her out of her shell. "Just trying to meet people, I guess," Emma said, shrugging. "I'm new here." "Ah, a freshman. It can be overwhelming, can it? I remember my first year. It was a whirlwind." Tyler chuckled, attempting to ease the tension. "What's your major?" "Just general studies for now," she replied. "I'm still figuring things out." Tyler nodded, sensing there was more beneath her surface. "That's totally fine. You've got time. What do you like to do? Any hobbies?" Emma hesitated, her eyes flickering with uncertainty. "Not much, really," she finally said, her voice trailing off. Tyler felt a connection forming, but the shadows of her past seemed to loom over their conversation, creating an invisible barrier. He could sense her reluctance to open up further. Just then, the music inside reached a crescendo, reminding them both of the party's chaotic energy. When the party began to wind down, Tyler gathered his courage. "Would you like a ride home? Pretty late. I wouldn't want you to walk alone." Emma's initial reaction was surprise, but something in his eyes made her reconsider. Okay," she said, a hint of relief in her voice. They stepped out into the night, cool air wrapping around them as they made their way to Tyler's car. Once inside, Tyler turned on the engine, the soft rumble filling the silence. "So what do you think of the college so far?" he asked, trying to keep the conversation light. "It's different," she replied slowly, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. "I just feel like I don't belong." "Trust me, you're not alone in that feeling," Tyler said, glancing at her. "I think everyone goes through that at some point. Just takes time to find your place." As they drove through the quiet streets, Emma's phone buzzed, breaking the moment. She fumbled to check the message, and Tyler noticed the sudden change in her demeanor. Her face paled, and she quickly tucked the phone away, her expression clouding with unease. "Everything okay?" Tyler asked, concern lacing his voice. "Yeah, just something from a friend," she replied, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. Tyler's curiosity piqued, but he respected her space. "Sure? You seem a bit shaken." Emma swallowed hard, her gaze fixed out the window as if searching for answers in the passing night. I've heard some things about a murder on campus. It's been hard to ignore." "Murder?" Tyler echoed, his interest piqued. "What do you mean?" Before she could respond, another car appeared in the rearview mirror, its headlights cutting through the darkness. Tyler's instincts kicked in, an uneasy feeling settling in the pit of his stomach. He glanced over at Emma, who had gone pale, her eyes wide with fear. "Tyler, I think they're following us," she whispered, her voice trembling. A knot formed in Tyler's stomach as he accelerated, the adrenaline surging through him. "Hold on," he said, determination filling his voice. He would protect her, whatever it took. Atmosphere in the car was thick with tension as Tyler Thompson drove through the quiet streets, faint glow of streetlights illuminating the anxious expression on Emma Carter's face. He had offered her a ride home after their unexpected yet intriguing encounter at the college party. But now, as they navigated the night, something felt distinctly off. Tyler's curiosity about Emma's secret was palpable, especially after her phone had vibrated with that ominous message. "What was that about?" Tyler asked, attempting a casual tone that belied his growing concern. He glanced over at Emma, who was staring out the window, her brow furrowed in concentration, as if trying to decipher something hidden in the darkness. "It's nothing," Emma replied, her voice barely above a whisper, but Tyler could hear the tremor in her tone, the way her hands clenched the edge of her seat. "Come on, Emma, you can talk to me," he urged, his heart racing with a mix of worry and intrigue. "You seemed really shaken when you got that message." Emma hesitated, biting her lip as she weighed her option. I heard something about a murder that happened on campus. Been all over the news," she finally admitted, her eyes darting nervously to the rearview mirror. "But I don't feel safe talking about it." Tyler's heart sank. "Murder? What do you know?" "I don't know much. Just rumors," but she trailed off, her voice hitching as her anxiety mounted. "I think there's more going on than anyone realizes. People are involved, people that shouldn't be." "Emma, you need to be careful," Tyler said, his tone shifting to one of urgency. "If you know something, you could be in danger." "We told anyone?" "No, I can't trust anyone," she snapped, her panic rising. "I can't trust you either." Tyler felt a pang of hurt at her words. "I just want to help you," he insisted, keeping his eyes on the road while his mind raced with possibilities. "You're not alone in this." As if to punctuate her fear, Emma's phone vibrated again, this time more insistently. She grabbed it, her breath hitching as she read the message. Tyler caught a glimpse of her expression, pale, as if all the blood had drained from her face. "What does it say?" Tyler pressed, his voice low and steady, trying to keep her grounded. "It's from an unknown number," she stammered, her voice shaking. "They know I'm a witness. They're warning me to stay quiet." Tyler's grip on the steering wheel tightened. "We need to get you somewhere safe." He glanced in the rearview mirror and noticed a car trailing them, headlights too bright, too persistent. Cold wave of dread washed over him. "Emma, I think we're being followed." Her eyes widened in horror. "What? No, this can't be happening." "Stay calm," Tyler said, his voice firm as adrenaline surged through him. "I need you to trust me. I'm going to speed up." As he pressed down on the accelerator, the car behind them mirrored their movements, closing the distance. Emma's heart raced in tandem with the engine's roar. "Tyler, what if they catch us? What if—" "Just hold on," Tyler shouted, the urgency of their situation overriding his need for calm. He could feel his criminology training kicking in, his instincts honed for moments just like this. "Tyler, please," Emma cried, panic lacing her voice. "They're going to find us. I won't let that happen," he assured her, determination solidified. "You said you saw everything. Can you remember anything specific?" Emma nodded slowly, her mind racing. "I remember the guy's face and the car they drove. It had a distinctive bumper sticker. But they'll come for me, Tyler. They'll come for both of us. We'll figure something out," he assured her, trying to quell the dread that clawed at his insides. "You're safe with me. I won't let anything happen to you." Just then, they heard a sound. The unmistakable growl of a car engine approaching. Tyler's heart dropped as he recognized the headlights illuminating the alleyway. "They found us," he said, his voice tense. "Get down." They both crouched low in the seats, hearts pounding as the shadow of the car passed by. Tyler's instincts kicked in. He couldn't let fear take over. "We need to move," he whispered urgently. "Follow my lead." As they slipped out of the car, Tyler scanned the area for a way out. "This way," he gestured, leading Emma toward a set of stairs that led up to a fire escape. They climbed quickly, the sound of footsteps echoing beneath them as the pursuing car came to a stop. Tyler pulled Emma close as they reached the top, crouching behind a wall. "I can't do this," Emma said, her voice barely above a whisper, trembling with panic. "What if they find us?" Tyler turned to her, his heart aching at the sight of her fear. "You have to be brave, Emma. I know it's hard, but we need to stay focused. Remember why we're doing this. You're not alone anymore." But just as Tyler spoke those words, Emma's breath hitched. They threatened me," she said, tears glistening in her eyes. "They said if I told anyone, I'd regret it." "Emma, look at me," Tyler said firmly, taking her hands in his. "We're going to get through this. I promise. We'll find a way to make them pay for what they did together." As they huddled together, the shadows of their pasts loomed over them. But in that moment, something shifted between them, an unspoken bond forged in fear and determination. The night was far from over, and the danger was closing in. They were ready to face it together, whatever it might bring. As Tyler and Emma found refuge in the dimly lit corner of a deserted cafe, the weight of their circumstances pressed heavily upon them. The atmosphere was thick with tension, a stark contrast to the casual bustle of the college party they had just escaped. Tyler leaned against the cool wall, his brow furrowed in thought. Emma sat across from him, her fingers nervously tapping the table, silent rhythm that matched the racing of her heart. "Do you ever feel like the past just won't let you go?" Tyler asked, breaking the silence that had settled between them. His voice was soft yet filled with an intensity that demanded honesty. Emma looked up, her eyes reflecting a mixture of fear and understanding. "Sometimes it feels like it's always lurking, waiting for the right moment to pounce. What about you? She could see the shadows of his past etched into his features, pain simmering just beneath the surface. Tyler took a deep breath, letting the memories flood back. I lost my brother to violence a few years ago. He was everything to me. I thought I could protect him, but his voice trailed off, the weight of regret and grief threatening to choke him. I couldn't save him. That's why I study criminology now. I want to understand why people do terrible things. Emma's expression softened, and she leaned forward, curiosity piqued. What happened, if you don't mind me asking? He hesitated. The memory's still raw. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. A robbery gone wrong. I found out later that it was all tied to some shady deals involving people at the university. It made me realize how deep the corruption runs. How innocent lives can be destroyed with a single decision. Emma felt a pang of empathy. I'm so sorry. That must have been incredibly hard for you. Tyler nodded, his eyes distant. It was. I sometimes wonder if I'm chasing ghosts, trying to find answers that may never come. He looked at Emma, the connection between them deepening in that moment. But I know that I want to protect people, prevent what happened to me from happening to anyone else. Emma swallowed hard. Feeling the weight of his words, she sensed the darkness that enveloped them both, the shadows of their pasts intertwining in a way that felt both terrifying and liberating. I know what it's like to carry a secret. I've been living in fear since I moved here. There's something I haven't told you, something that connects me to what's happening now. What do you mean? Tyler's interest was piqued, and he leaned forward, his gaze unwavering. Emma hesitated, the fear of exposing her truth battling with the need to share. I witnessed a murder right before I started college. I thought I could leave it behind, but it followed me here. I've been getting threats ever since. Tyler's eyes widened, shock rippling through him. You were a witness? Emma, you could have told me sooner. This is serious. I know, she whispered, tears threatening to spill, but I was scared. I thought I could hide, that it would all just go away. But now, her voice broke, and she looked down, ashamed. Emma, listen to me, Tyler said firmly, reaching across the table to grasp her hand. You're not alone in this. We can face it together. I won't let anything happen to you. Promise. His words enveloped her like a warm blanket, easing the chill of her fear. You don't understand what I'm up against, she murmured, and you don't understand what I've faced, he replied, determination shining in his eyes. We can use what we know to fight back. We can expose the truth. As they shared their vulnerabilities, the bond between them strengthened. Emma felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Do you really think we can? I know we can, Tyler said, his voice steady, but we need to be smart about it. We have to come up with a plan. Just as the gravity of their conversation began to lift, the engine of a car roared outside, cutting through the air like a knife. Tyler's instincts kicked in, his demeanor shifting from vulnerable to alert in an instant. We need to get out of here, he said, scanning the area for exit. They might have found us. Emma's heart raced once more, fear surging through her veins as she glanced toward the window. What do we do? Follow me, Tyler instructed, his voice low and urgent. Stay close, and don't look back. With a shared glance that spoke volumes of their newfound alliance, they slipped out of the cafe, ready to confront the shadows of their pasts and the unknown dangers that lay ahead. The night was dark, but together they would navigate the treacherous path towards the truth, unwilling to let their fears dictate their fate any longer. As Tyler and Emma huddled together in the dimly lit corner of an abandoned library, the gravity of their discovery weighed heavily on them. The faded documents scattered around them revealed a sinister network of corruption at their university, intricately linking the recent murder to influential professors and students. Among the names, one stood out, Dr. Mitchell, a respected professor whose charm masked a potentially dangerous agenda. This can't be real, Emma murmured, her voice barely above a whisper as she flipped through the pages, her fingers trembling. How could someone so respected be involved in something like this? Tyler leaned closer, scanning the detail. It makes sense, though. He's powerful, connected. People like him can get away with anything. His brow furrowed as he considered their next move. We have to confront him. Emma's eyes widened with fear. Confront him? Are you crazy? What if he finds out we're onto him? We could be in serious danger. I know, Tyler replied, his tone firm but understanding. But we can't just sit back and let this happen. You're the only witness to the crime. We owe it to the victim to bring this to light. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his own fears but pushing them aside. Besides, we're in this together now. Emma bit her lip, torn between the loyalty she felt for her friends and the urgent need to seek justice. Just then, her phone buzzed, jolting her from her thoughts. She glanced at the screen, expression turning pale. It's Jess, she said, her voice quaking. She's been texting me all night. She wants to know what's going on and is warning me to stay away from this whole situation. Your friends are scared, Tyler reasoned. trying to keep her focused. They don't understand the danger, but you do. You can't let their fear dictate your actions. You're stronger than that. Emma looked at him, her heart racing. But what if I lose them? What if they turn against me? Mitchell, who looked up with a charming smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Tyler? Emma, what a pleasant surprise, he greeted, gesturing for them to sit. I didn't expect to see you both here. Thanks for meeting us, Professor, Tyler replied, trying to keep his tone casual. Could feel Emma tense beside him. Of course. What's on your minds? Dr. Mitchell sipped his coffee, his gaze flickering between them, assessing. Actually, we wanted to talk about the recent events on campus. Emma began, forcing a smile. The murder and weighing heavily on all of us. Dr. Mitchell's expression shifted slightly, his eyes narrowing. Ah, yes, a tragic incident. But I assure you, the authorities are handling it. Tyler leaned in, noting the slight tremor in Mitchell's hand as he set his cup down. But there are rumors, Professor. Whispers of something deeper happening at the university. We can't help but feel there's more to the story. Rumors can be dangerous, Mitchell replied, his voice smooth, but tinged with an edge. You both should be careful about what you're discussing. Easy to get caught up in speculation. Emma exchanged a glance with Tyler, her heart racing. What about the students involved? She pressed, her voice gaining strength. We've heard things. Seen things. Seems like enough. Mitchell's tone turned sharp, causing a few heads to turn in their direction. You are both very young and naive. You don't understand the complexities of adult life and the choices we make. Tyler felt a surge of determination. We understand more than you think, Professor. We know that the truth is often buried beneath layers of corruption. Mitchell's mask of calm began to crack. You should tread lightly, Tyler. You're playing a dangerous game. This isn't just about you. Emma leaned forward, her voice steady. We're not afraid of the truth. Not anymore. We deserve answers, and we're not going to back down. Just as Mitchell opened his mouth to respond, the door to the coffee shop swung open, and a man in a dark jacket stepped inside, scanning the room with cold, calculating eyes. Tyler felt a chill run down his spine. The newcomer's presence was ominous, and he could see Mitchell's demeanor shift instantly, flicker of fear crossing his face. Professor, we should go, the man said, his voice low and threatening. We have a situation. Mitchell's eyes darted to Tyler and Emma, and an unmistakable tension filled the air. I'll be right there, he said, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. You two should really be careful. The world is not as simple as it seems. Emma's heart raced as she felt the weight of the situation. Are you threatening us, Professor? She asked, her voice steady, despite the fear bubbling within her. Consider it a friendly warning, he replied, rising from the table. You don't want to get involved in things you cannot control. As he turned to leave, Tyler shot a glance at Emma, their shared understanding clear. This conversation was far from over. They needed to confront him again, but now was not the time. What do we do now? Emma asked, her voice trembling slightly as she watched Mitchell walk away. We gather more evidence, Tyler said, determination igniting within him. We can't let fear stop us. We need to find out what he's hiding. Emma nodded, her resolve strengthening. Together, she affirmed, feeling a surge of courage as they left the coffee shop, knowing they were now deeper into a world of danger and deceit than they had ever imagined. Tyler paced nervously in the dimly lit room they had chosen as a hideout, the weight of the plan pressing down on him like a heavy fog. Emma sat on a rickety chair, her hands fidgeting in her lap. The atmosphere was thick with tension and anticipation. They both knew the stakes were high. Outside, the night wrapped the world in darkness. But inside, their resolve flickered like a candle in the wind. We need to make this count, Tyler said, breaking the silence. His voice was steady, but the adrenaline coursing through his veins made it difficult to remain calm. If we can get evidence against Mitchell, this could end everything. Emma nodded, her expression a mix of fear and determination. But what if we get caught? What if they find us before we can even set the trap? Her voice trembled slightly, betraying her anxiety. Tyler stepped closer, leaning against the wall beside her. I promise, Emma. We're going to do this. We'll lure them in, and then we'll catch everything on video. We have to expose Mitchell and the corruption at the university. You're not alone in this anymore. His eyes locked onto hers, trying to convey the strength he felt within. I trust you, Tyler, she replied, her voice gaining confidence. I can't go back to being afraid. Not after everything that's happened. She took a deep breath, her resolve hardening. Let's do it. They spent the next few hours meticulously plotting their ambush, going over every possible scenario. Tyler used his criminology knowledge to create a detailed plan, highlighting the best vantage points and potential escape routes. Emma listened intently, absorbing every detail, her mind racing with the implications of their plan. Here, Tyler said, pointing to a location on the map he had sketched out. We can set up behind that old warehouse. It'll give us a perfect line of sight to record everything without being seen. If we can get Mitchell and his guys there, we can catch them red-handed. Emma nodded, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. And what if they don't show up? They will, Tyler replied confidently. They're too arrogant to think we'd dare to confront them. Plus, we'll make it look like we're just trying to gather information. They won't suspect a thing. As they finalized their plan, the reality of what they were about to do settled heavily on their shoulders. This was no longer just about uncovering the truth. It was about confronting their fears and standing up against the darkness that had threatened to swallow them both. Later that evening, they prepared to put their plan into action. Tyler's heart raced as they approached the warehouse, a sense of urgency propelling him forward. "Stay close to me," he instructed Emma, glancing around to ensure they were alone. "Can do this together." Emma's eyes sparkled with determination, and she replied, "I'm not going anywhere. I'm ready." As they set up their equipment, a nervous energy filled the air. They hid behind a stack of crates, old wood creaking under their weight. Tyler adjusted the camera, ensuring it was positioned perfectly to capture any incriminating evidence. "Do you think they'll really show?" Emma whispered, her gaze darting to the shadows surrounding them. "They have to," Tyler reassured her. "They'll come. They think they're untouchable, but we're gonna prove them wrong." Minutes felt like hours as they waited, tension building with each passing second. Suddenly, headlights pierced the darkness, illuminating the area as a car pulled up. Tyler's heart raced as he leaned forward, peering through the gaps in the crate. "There they are," he murmured, his pulse quickening. "Stay quiet." Emma held her breath, her heart pounding in her chest. As the figures emerged from the car, she recognized Dr. Mitchell among them, flanked by several intimidating henchmen. The reality of their confrontation loomed large, and she felt a shiver run down her spine. "Let's get ready," Tyler whispered, his voice barely above a murmur. "We need to capture everything." Just as they were about to press record, one of the henchmen turned abruptly. Scanning the area, Tyler's heart dropped. They might have seen something, he whispered urgently. "Hide," Emma hissed, her instincts kicking in. They both ducked low behind the crates, holding their breath as the henchman stepped closer. "Did you hear that?" the henchman asked, looking around suspiciously. "No," Mitchell replied, a hint of annoyance in his voice. "Let's just get this over with." Tyler and Emma exchanged worried glances, adrenaline coursing through them as they prepared for the worst. The moment felt suspended in time, both of them acutely aware that their lives hung in the balance. They were so close to uncovering the truth, but the danger was closing in fast. Finally, the henchmen turned their back, and Tyler seized the moment. "Now," he whispered urgently, pressing the record button on the camera as they emerged from their hiding spot. The confrontation had begun. The shadow of danger loomed larger than ever. As Tyler and Emma settled into the cramped, dimly lit room of an abandoned warehouse, the atmosphere was thick with tension and the scent of mildew. The walls were lined with peeling paint, and the only light filtered through dusty windows high above, casting eerie shadows on the floor. They had managed to evade Mitchell's henchmen for now, but the danger was far from over. Emma paced nervously, running her fingers through her hair as her mind raced. "What if they find us? What if they come here?" Her voice quivered, reflecting the fear that coursed through her veins. "Emma, listen to me," Tyler urged, his tone steady despite the adrenaline surging in his own body. "We need to focus. We have evidence that can take them down. We just need to get it to the police." "What if they don't believe us?" Emma shot back, eyes wide with doubt. "What if they are in on it too? This is a huge conspiracy, Tyler. We're just two kids with a few recordings." Tyler stepped closer, taking her hands in his. "I know it feels overwhelming, but think about what we've discovered. Mitchell is connected to these crimes, and if we can just get our story to someone who can help us, we can expose this whole thing. We can't let fear control us." Emma looked into his eyes, and for a moment, the chaos outside faded. She could see the determination etched in Tyler's features, the same strength that had drawn her to him from the very beginning. "I want to believe you," he admitted softly, "but it's hard. I've been running from this for so long. What if I lose everything?" "You won't," Tyler reassured her, squeezing her hands. "You're stronger than you think. We'll face this together. You're not alone anymore." As they spoke, a sudden noise pierced the tension. Faint scuffle outside the door. Tyler's heart raced as he motioned for Emma, "Be quiet." They pressed their backs against the wall, listening intently. The sound of footsteps drew closer, and Tyler could feel Emma's heart pounding in sync with his own. "Do you think they found us?" Emma whispered, her breath shaky. "Stay calm," Tyler whispered back. "If they come in, we need to be ready." The door creaked open, revealing a figure silhouetted against the dim light. Tyler's instincts kicked in. He had to protect Emma at all costs. Just as the figure stepped inside, Tyler lunged forward, tackling the intruder to the ground. "Run, Emma! Get out!" he shouted, grappling with the man beneath him. Emma hesitated for a moment, torn between helping Tyler and saving herself. The urgency in his voice spurred her into action. "I won't leave you," she cried, her eyes darting between the struggle and the door. "Just go," Tyler yelled again, finally managing to pin the man down, but he knew he couldn't hold him for long. "I'll catch up, I promise." With tears in her eyes, Emma turned and bolted for the exit, her heart pounding in her chest. She pushed through the door, her mind racing as she sprinted into the night. The cool air bit at her skin, but she couldn't afford to stop. She had to find help, had to get to the police. The walls were lined with peeling paint, and the only light filtered through dusty windows high above, casting eerie shadows on the floor. They had managed to evade Mitchell's henchmen for now. The danger was far from over. Emma paced nervously, running her fingers through her hair as her mind raced. What if they find us? What if they come here? Her voice quivered, reflecting the fear that coursed through her vein. Emma, listen to me, Tyler urged, his tone steady despite the adrenaline surging in his own body. You need to focus. We have evidence that can take them down. We just need to get it to the police. What if they don't believe us? Emma shot back, eyes wide with doubt. What if they are in on it too? This is a huge conspiracy, Tyler. We're just two kids with a few recordings. Tyler stepped closer, taking her hands in his. I know it feels overwhelming, but think about what we've discovered. Mitchell is connected to these crimes, and if we can just get our story to someone who can help us, it can expose this whole thing. Can't let fear control us. Emma looked into his eyes, and for a moment, the chaos outside faded. She could see the determination etched in Tyler's features, the same strength that had drawn her to him from the very beginning. I want to believe you, he admitted softly, but it's hard. I've been running from this for so long. What if I lose everything? You won't, Tyler reassured her, squeezing her hands. You're stronger than you think. We'll face this together. You're not alone anymore. As they spoke, a sudden noise pierced the tension, a faint scuffle outside the door. Tyler's heart raced as he motioned for Emma to be quiet. They pressed their backs against the wall, listening intently. The sound of footsteps drew closer, and Tyler could feel Emma's heart pounding in sync with his own. Do you think they found us? Emma whispered, breath shaky. Stay calm, Tyler whispered back. If they come in, we need to be ready. Door creaked open, revealing a figure silhouetted against the dim light. Tyler's instincts kicked in. He had to protect Emma at all costs. Just as the figure stepped inside, Tyler lunged forward, tackling the intruder to the ground. Run, Emma! Get out! He shouted, grappling with the man beneath him. Emma hesitated for a moment, torn between helping Tyler and saving herself, but the urgency in his voice spurred her into action. I won't leave you, cried, her eyes darting between the struggle and the just go. Tyler yelled again, finally managing to pin the man down, but he knew he couldn't hold him for long. I'll catch up, promise. With tears in her eyes, Emma turned and bolted for the exit, heart pounding in her chest. She pushed through the door, her mind racing as she sprinted into the night. Cool air bit at her skin, but she couldn't afford to stop. He had to find help, had to get to the police. Meanwhile, Tyler wrestled with the henchman, using every ounce of his criminology training to subdue the man. Who sent you? Tyler demanded, his voice low and filled with fury, but the henchman only grunted in response, struggling beneath him. You think you can hide? The man spat, a sneer on his lips. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Tyler tightened his grip, determined not to let this man escape. I know exactly who I'm dealing with, and I'm going to make sure you pay for what you've done. With a sudden burst of strength, the henchman shoved Tyler off him, scrambling to his feet. Tyler quickly regained his footing, but the man was already charging for the door. Adrenaline surged through Tyler as he lunged forward, grabbing the man's arm just as he reached the exit. Not so fast, Tyler shouted, pulling him back just as the henchman tried to break free. The two struggled again, this time more violently, as Tyler fought to keep him from escaping. But in that moment, Tyler's thoughts flickered back to Emma. Couldn't let her down. He had to protect her. With a last surge of determination, he threw the man against the wall, stunning him long enough to get a grip on the situation. Stay down, Tyler warned, panting heavily. He quickly scanned the room, searching for something to restrain the man. He spotted an old rope coiled in the corner and dashed for it. Just as he turned back, the henchman was already getting up, ready to fight again. Tyler threw the rope at him, managing to tangle it around the man's arms. You'll regret this, the henchman spat. Tyler wasn't listening anymore. He was already thinking about Emma, about getting to her before it was too late. Stay put, Tyler ordered, stepping back and grabbing his phone. He needed to call for backup to ensure Emma was safe. As he dialed, he couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. As Tyler and Emma navigated the desolate streets, chilling tension hung in the air, thick with the danger that shadowed their every move. They had just escaped the clutches of Dr. Mitchell's henchmen, their hearts racing, but they knew they weren't safe yet. The police station was their only hope, but as they turned a corner, a black sedan cut them off, blocking their path. Tyler's instincts kicked in. He knew they had to act quickly. Tyler, what do we do? Emma's voice trembled, her eyes wide with panic as she glanced at the car that threatened to trap them. Stay calm, Tyler replied, his eyes darting around, searching for an escape route. We need to get to the police. That video you have, it's our ticket out of this. Emma nodded, gripping the small device tightly in her hand, but the fear in her heart was palpable. They both knew that Mitchell wouldn't let them go easily. Tyler's mind raced, calculating their options. Listen, Emma, he said, his voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. I need you to trust me. When I say go, you run for the station. I'll create a distraction. What? No, Tyler. I can't leave you, Emma protested, her voice rising in desperation. Emma, you have to. You're the one with the evidence. You can't let it fall into their hands. I'll be right behind you. Just get to safety, Tyler insisted, his eyes locking onto hers with fierce determination. Before she could argue further, the sedan's doors swung open and two burly men stepped out, their faces obscured by the shadows of the night. Tyler felt a surge of adrenaline rush through him. He had to act fast. Go, he shouted, pushing Emma toward the street. Now, with a final reluctant glance back, Emma took off, sprinting towards the police station as fast as her legs could carry her. Tyler turned to face the henchman, his heart pounding in his chest. He had only one chance to buy her time. Hey, over here, he yelled, drawing the attention of the two men who had begun to approach. You want a piece of me? The henchmen exchanged glances and started toward him, their expressions a mix of surprise and annoyance. Tyler could see the glint of something dangerous in their eyes. He stood his ground, feigning confident. Come on then. I'm right here, taunted, backing away slowly, knowing he had to lure them away from Emma. The first henchman lunged at him, but Tyler sidestepped, using his criminology training to anticipate the man's movement. He grabbed the man's arm and twisted, sending him crashing into his partner, who was momentarily caught off guard. Tyler, please. Emma's voice floated back, filled with worry. I've got this, he shouted back, even as he felt a fist connect with his side, knocking the wind out of him. He stumbled, quickly regained his footing. The second henchman took advantage and swung again, but Tyler ducked and retaliated with a punch that connected with the man's jaw. Get the girl, one of the henchmen shouted, scrambling to his feet. No, Tyler shouted, desperation fueling his strength. He knew he had to keep them occupied. With a surge of adrenaline, he kicked the first henchman away from him, then turned and sprinted down a narrow alley, hoping to lead them away from Emma. He could hear their footsteps pounding behind him, but he had to trust Emma was now on her way to safety. As he darted through the shadows, he reached a dead end. Panic surged within him, but he quickly scanned the area. There was an old dumpster against the wall. With no time to waste, he shoved it aside and climbed over, hoping to evade capture. Where'd he go? One of the henchmen yelled, frustration evident in his voice. Split up. He can't have gone far, the other replied, and Tyler felt a flicker of hope. They were losing focus. Just as he made it to the other side of the dumpster, he heard the roar of a car engine. Tyler turned, knowing it was Emma's only chance. He had to do something reckless to ensure she reached the police. He picked up a stick from the ground, swinging it like a club as he stepped back into view. Hey, down here, he yelled, drawing their attention once again. Seeing him, the henchman charged. Tyler took a deep breath, ready to face them head on. He feigned a serious injury, dropping to one knee as if he couldn't fight anymore. The henchmen slowed, uncertainty crossing their faces. What's wrong? Scared? One of them mocked, stepping closer. Tyler seized the moment. Run, Emma. Go, he shouted, his voice breaking through the chaos. As the henchman hesitated, the distraction worked. He saw Emma's silhouette bolting toward the police station. A sense of triumph filled him. Hey, get him! One of the henchmen yelled, lunging toward Tyler. With everything he had left, Tyler sprang to his feet, but the world around him began to blur as the henchman's hands closed in. Fought back, determined to hold them off long enough for Emma to make it, but the darkness of unconsciousness loomed, and he felt himself slipping, fierce determination propelling him as he fought against the inevitable. He had to protect her, no matter the cost. Emma stood in the sterile brightness of police station, her heart racing as she clutched her phone tightly. The adrenaline from her harrowing escape was slowly wearing off, replaced by a chilling realization of the gravity of the situation. She had just handed over the incriminating video to Officer Ramirez, seasoned detective known for his no-nonsense approach. The evidence was solid. It showed Dr. Mitchell and his henchmen in the act of threatening her and Tyler. She could almost feel the weight of the world lifting, yet a gnawing anxiety remained. Miss Carter, you did the right thing, Officer Ramirez said, his voice steady and reassuring. We'll get to the bottom of this. Just give us some time. But what if they come after us again? Emma's voice trembled slightly. She scanned the room, half expecting to see shadows lurking in the corners. What if they find Tyler before we can protect him? Right now, we have the upper hand. The video is crucial. We're launching an immediate investigation, Ramirez assured her, but his brow furrowed as he studied her face. You seem to be holding something back. Is there anything else you need to tell us? Emma hesitated. The weight of the secret she'd just learned about Tyler's brother pressed down on her like a leaden blanket. Would revealing this information help or hinder their situation? There's more, she finally admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Before she could say more, her phone vibrated violently in her hand. Emma glanced down and saw an unknown number flashing on the screen. With a sinking feeling, she answered, her heart racing once again. Emma, it's me. A familiar voice crackled through the line. It was Tyler's brother, Mark. I need you to listen carefully. You're in deep, and I'm not sure how much time we have. Mark, where are you? We need to know. Emma started, but he cut her off. Not here. Just listen. I've been involved with Mitchell and his operation longer than you know. I always knew about his connections at the university. You have to get Tyler away from all this before it's too late. Emma's breath hitched. What do you mean? Is Tyler involved? You can't be serious. Tyler doesn't know, Mark replied, urgency lacing his words. But if Mitchell finds out that he's close to you, he could use that against him. I'm trying to protect you both. Emma felt her stomach churn at the implications of Mark's words. Why should we trust you? You're the reason we're in this mess. Trust me because I know Mitchell and his men. They won't stop until they silence anyone who knows too much. You need to get Tyler out of there. I can help, but you need to be smart about that. Just then, Officer Ramirez returned, his face grave. Emma, we need to move. There's been a disturbance nearby, and we think it might involve Mitchell's people. Emma's heart raced again, panic swelling inside her. I can't leave without Tyler. We need to find him first. Listen to me, Ramirez said firmly but gently. We need to secure you first. If you go out there unprotected, you'll be putting yourself in danger. We'll send officers to find him. But, Emma began. But the officer's expression silenced her. He was right. She couldn't let her emotions cloud her judgment. The stakes were too high. Emma, we're going to get through this together. Mark's voice chimed in on the phone, grounding her for just a moment. You just have to trust that I'll help from the inside. With a nod, she finally relented. Okay, but you have to promise me that Tyler will be safe. I promise, Mark said, his tone serious, but you have to stay strong. We'll keep in touch. Just remember, they're always watching. As Emma hung up, the reality of their situation settled heavily on her shoulders. She felt like a pawn in a dangerous game. She couldn't let fear take over. Officer Ramirez, she said, her voice steady, we need to act fast. Tyler is everything to me, and I won't let him get hurt again. Then let's get to work. We'll find him and bring him home safely. Ramirez replied, determination burning in his eyes. Emma nodded, her resolve solidifying. She might not have the answers yet, but she had to believe that together they could confront whatever shadows lay ahead. The truth was their weapon, and she was ready to fight for Tyler, whatever it took.